and welcome to Smaulgld's update for the month of February on the People's Bank of China's gold reserves and overall foreign reserves. Well, the People's Bank of China's gold reserves have been flat for the last 4 months. There's been some activity, some buying and some selling, but for the most part, they are at the same place where they were in November 2016 as of the end of February 2017, although the People's Bank of China added 14 tons of gold to its reserves in February. So they added no gold to reserves in November, then they sold about 21 tons of gold in December, and then they added back about 7 tons in January, 14 tons in February, and they're now back to 1,842 tons of gold, which places them fifth among all nations in gold. We're going to go through what People's Bank of China gold means, what People's Bank of China's foreign reserves means. As we go further, we'll show you some charts just to make sure we are clear on what we're talking about. People's Bank of China's foreign reserves rose for the first time also in 8 months, about 6.9 billion in February, and it put them just over $3 trillion in foreign reserves. Over a year ago, they had 4 trillion in foreign reserves. We're going to take a look at a chart there too. So the People's Bank of China has been selling foreign reserves. They've sold, as we've mentioned, about $1 trillion worth of reserves over the past couple of years. And they have added gold, but not that much over the last year and a half. Just about 104 tons in 2015 and about 60 tons in 2016. Also, China posted its first trade deficit in 3 years in February. Now, you think of China as being this mega exporter with a massive trade surplus. Not the case in February. So China is undergoing a readjustment in their economy. It happens in many economies. It happened with the United States. It went from industrial powerhouse to a mega debtor nation to a mega deficit in foreign trade. I'm not saying China is going through the same path, but China is no longer just a massive exporting power and one that has been accumulating foreign reserves, mostly in the form of U.S. treasuries. It is now selling treasuries, selling foreign reserves, and now has, at least for the month of February, a trade deficit. For those of you who are interested in helping out Smaulgld, I know there's some of you out there and you have sent some money, which thank you very much for. You've done it via PayPal or Bitcoin, or also you could do it via Patreon, but no one has done that yet. So if you want to be the first historic Smaulgld Patreon, please do so through the link below this YouTube, and you can sign up to subscribe monthly to the Smaulgld channel. Now, let's take a look at our charts. So here is the People's Bank of China's gold reserves since they started reporting in June of 2015. They had 1,658 tons. They had boosted that up from about 1,000 tons. They hadn't reported since 2009, and then they showed a big increase. And then since then, they've kind of, they've added a couple of hundred tons, but not that much. And then you could see as they've been selling foreign reserves, they've actually just kind of leveled off their gold holdings. Now, here's the important part. For those people who still insist that China's lying and that there's more gold there, yes, of course there is more gold in China than is on the People's Bank of China's balance sheet. People's Bank of China is not China, but is the central bank of China. Let's give you an example. China has mined since 2000 5,210 tons of gold. You see that? Since 2000? Okay, that's 5,000 tons. But we show on the People's Bank of China only 1,842 tons. Well, there's a big difference there. That's because not all the gold that gets mined in China, all the gold that gets imported into China, ends up on the People's Bank of China's balance sheet. Also, foreign reserves do not represent all of the assets in China. There's their foreign reserves, 3 trillion. That does not represent all of the assets that might be in China. They are the assets that are on the People's Bank of China's balance sheet. It's a very important point, and since China is a communist country, it's somewhat easy to assume that whatever gold has been mined in China, whatever gold that has been imported into China and finds its way into other entities, other sovereign wealth funds, other banks owned by the People's Bank of China, belong to China. However, they don't necessarily belong to the People's Bank of China. It's a very important distinction, and it's really not that important. I think people were trying to count up China's gold because they think they're going to back their currency by gold. Why would they do that? That's just an invitation to have your gold to have your gold rated, because the United States did that. And if you make your currency backed by gold, making it as good as gold, well, if you have a paper currency and you can in the form of a yuan and you can exchange it for gold, why wouldn't you do it? And they immediately lose their gold. So talk of China backing its currency by gold is pretty ridiculous. And just as what's not ridiculous is requiring gold for payment. That's different. In that case, if you require gold for payment and you are a net exporter, you will build your gold reserves. But what you don't want to do is then back your currency by gold and let people, no matter how they've acquired their yuan, to redeem them for gold, because gold is always better than the currency. Why would you trust the central bank of any? We've seen in history, you never trust a central bank more than you trust gold. It's no matter how good the central bank is, gold has no risk whatsoever, no counterparty risk. It is gold. It doesn't conduct monetary policy. It doesn't do anything. It just is. So the idea that China is building up gold and they're lying about how much gold they are because one day they're going to spring upon everybody. They've got 20,000 tons of gold and now the yuan is backed by gold. No, they might have 20,000 tons of gold in China and it may all belong to the government. But the People's Bank of China lists, the amount of gold that they have, and it is not that much in the grand scheme of things. It is, what is it? There it is. It's 1,842 tons. In any event, same with the foreign reserves. Just as the gold held on the People's Bank of China's balance sheet doesn't represent all of China's gold, the foreign reserve assets on the People's Bank of China's balance sheet don't represent all of China's assets. Now, as to the tenor of their assets, at one point, just up to a couple of months ago, China, now this is different than the People's Bank of China. This is the country of China. China held over 1.2 trillion, nearly 1.3 trillion U.S. Treasury securities, in dollars worth of U.S. Treasury securities. They now hold about $1 trillion. Now, the reason I say there's a difference between China here with respect to Treasury holdings and the People's Bank of China with respect to gold holdings is the way the U.S. Treasury calculates foreign holdings of U.S. Treasuries is by country of origin. So these treasuries listed, this chart you're looking at, indicates all of the treasuries held by those listed as being Chinese owners. Now, it is also possible that Chinese entities can own U.S. treasuries outside of China through other entities, for example, a Belgian entity. So there is a difference here, but all of the assets that are on the People's Bank of China balance sheet and all of the gold that's listed on the People's Bank of China represents the People's Bank of China's assets, not China's assets. I make that point every way. I try to make it in a different way every time I update this chart here. Now here are all the gold that goes into China just via Hong Kong. Again, 719 tons last year. In 2013, 1,100 tons. Again, you add this up, there's another 5,000 tons here. Add that to the 5,000 tons that they've mined domestically and they don't export, and you've got well over 10,000 tons just without even searching for anything. Then you've got gold imported through Shanghai that they don't report. That could be the same as this. It could be double. I don't know what it is. So for those people saying China has 15, 20,000 tons of gold, they probably do. But that doesn't mean that what the People's Bank of China is reporting is a lie or is incorrect. It just means those 20,000 tons are not on the People's Bank of China's balance sheet. So here's your gold mining production. You can see it, it's increasing. Last year they've been doing 450 tons a year. That gives them 5,200 tons for the last 16, 17 years. Does it make its way to the People's Bank of China's balance sheet? Also, Russia sells gold to China. And, there's a tremendous amount of gold in China. No one's denying that. And that puts China, as we mentioned, in fifth place. It's got to be updated. That's 1842 again. It had gone down to 1828. In any event, if you're interested in buying gold for yourself, not for your for your family or well, maybe you are buying it for a gift. I don't know. It's not investment advice that you buy gold or sell gold or silver or any precious metal or anything. But if you've made the decision you'd like to buy gold or silver, please consider doing so through the links below or through the Smaulgld links and banners on the site. Because if you do, Smaulgld gets a small commission and you get to compare pricing and shipping on a variety of gold and silver products. And if you do shop through the Smaulgld links, you pay no more, no less than if you visited the sites directly. So if you made the decision, it's the right thing for you, you want to buy for yourself, you want to buy for someone else as a gift, please consider shopping and taking a look at the offers at the featured merchants, BGASC, Golden Eagle Coins, JM Bullion, Money Metals Exchange. And you got to go to the website if you're interested in SD Bullion. You can click on the banner there and make your purchase. Thank you very much for listening. I will have the Shanghai Gold Exchange gold withdrawals for the month of February probably tomorrow, maybe later today, so check back. And we'll have an update on the America the Beautiful coins. We'll have a Perth Mint gold and silver update. So please check back. Thank you very much.